Hey, good morning everybody. It's Marcus again. Just wanted to make a real quick video here. I'm going to be making a little bit longer video on something a little bit more close to home later. So when I got out of the military, I was just a lowly private first class, so I don't have all the operational information, all the command information that you know, a lieutenant colonel or general will have. I don't know a lot of stuff. But from what I saw in the Army is they were constantly trying to do really strange stuff. It looked strange to me, and it looked strange to a lot of my friends. They had suicide prevention training, sexual harassment training, and it was nonstop. It wasn't just, you know, once a year we do this training. It seemed like it was every 3 months. It seems like it was a nonstop thing, like, hey, today we're gonna have sexual harassment training, and then we're gonna have it again. And I think it was quarterly we did this training. When I was on active duty, I was a POG, and I think the grunts probably have it even worse. Even the segregated ones, like the infantry who don't have females around. If there's females on the base, they probably have to go through that training all the time. Now the problem with this training isn't that it's unnecessary. I mean, obviously it's necessary training. You know, you're trying to get a unit together. You have to get this training done, because there are some people who just don't realize what the consequences of their actions can be. You know, maybe people are partying, they've had one too many drinks, one thing leads to another, and then, you know, there's a harassment charge, there's a rape charge, and you know, that's terrible. We don't want that. We want everyone to be respectful in the military. We want everyone to be able to serve together in a way that's compatible. We don't want all these problems. So I can see from a command standpoint and a DOD standpoint why they'd have all this training. However, the way they go about it is a little bit strange. Like I said, in my opinion, what they should do is have it, everyone goes through Army basic training. It doesn't matter if you're Reserve, National Guard, active duty, you go through basic training. There's where you can get all this training out of the way. I mean, and that's when people are most receptive to this stuff, because if they're not, I mean, they get in trouble. You know, they have to push. They have a lot of consequences for their action. So that's where you really want to have it. Especially infantry guys, you know, they need to see this information. If there's not going to be segregated units, if there's going to be, you know, females and males drinking together and sleeping in the same barracks, these are the problems that are going to occur. Personally, I know a time when I was living in the barracks where, you know, somebody left their door ajar to their barracks room, and a drunk female private walked up to his room and passed out on the floor. And what happened was, you know, they did an investigation. Luckily, the girl said, no, nothing happened. I was just drunk and passed out and thought that was my barracks room. But these are the kind of situations you can end up in. I mean, so my opinion is it's good training, but it doesn't need to be every day. It's not a rifle qualification where you're gonna over time forget you need to report this stuff. You're not gonna forget to report that your battle buddy, you know, is suicidal. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. If you see your buddy, he's acting a little bit weird, he's giving his stuff away, I mean, you're gonna report it. Once you see the training, you're not gonna forget it. I mean, and I think that in basic training is the only time people are gonna take it seriously. Because I know once we got, steal your battle mind training, you know, the chaplain rolled out all this information about stealing your battle mind. All we do is yell "steal your battle mind" at each other over and over again as a joke. It's not a joke, but that's what it becomes when it's relentless, when it's, you know, quarterly nonsense training that has no bearing anymore. Like you already know, you already realize it. It's like it's almost like being trained on like drill and ceremony quarterly. It just doesn't make sense. Once you know how to snap to attention, you're not going to forget. You do it all the time. You practice these skills every day. Another issue I wanted to talk about was this transgender issue. A a lot of people are throwing a huge fit about it. The first thing I'd say is if you're in the armed forces right now, you don't get to criticize the commander-in-chief. I mean, if he says something, if he makes an order, you're going to have to follow it. You don't get to talk about it. I remember I'd just come in at the end of the Bush presidency, and I had some disagreements with Iraq, and I spoke up, one day, and I got in a lot of trouble. The NCO was about to give me a counseling for it. Luckily, I just got smoked, but I mean, you can get in trouble. You're not supposed to do that. He's the commander-in-chief. It's like shouting how crappy your commander is in front of the company. I mean, if you want to talk about that stuff, you got to wait, or you got to do it, anonymously, some kind of way. You can't put it on blast on your Facebook. That's not a good idea. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong or right. We all have our own agreements, disagreements with that stuff. That's a big old can of worms. So as for my opinion, like I said, it's volatile. There's too many caveats for me to say this is the black and white situation. What I would say is anything that can break down unit cohesion should not exist in the military. Your unit is your family in the Army. I mean, this isn't like a civilian job where you go in, you do your work, you clock out, and your job is done for the day, unless you're the boss and you have some other stuff to worry about. This is your life. This is a lifestyle you have to have. So any sort of controversies or problems like that, they have to go. I mean, not everyone is the same in the military. There's all sorts of different races, religions, creeds. You got males and females. So from a commander standpoint, I mean, it would be so difficult to run a unit in a cohesive way. And then you got drinking into the mix. I mean, I can't even imagine the headaches you'd have in that situation. So I'd say anything that makes a unit cohesion and brings that to the forefront is a good thing. Anything that makes the team better will be better for the Army. It will make things run a lot more smoothly. Now, if one way or the other this thing happens, and transgender people are banned from the military, we'll find out if it's good or not. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it makes the units worse. I don't know. You can look at statistics and find out for yourself. You don't need to have any sort of conjecture about it right now. What I'd say is the biggest problem in the military, beyond all that, who cares about that stuff? If you could ban drinking in the military and ban fraternization in the ranks to a much better degree, not just NCOs and soldiers, but soldiers and soldiers, I think that would alleviate about a third of the Army's problems. I know it would suck and people would complain, oh, I can't drink anymore, but I've seen so many situations where people have gotten drunk and done something completely ridiculous, and I mean that it ruined their career. I've seen, in training and TRADOC, drill sergeants go out with their soldiers. That stuff's, I mean, just ban it. Just threaten UCMJ and go through with it and just get rid of that stuff. I mean, you're in the military. You're not there to find a wife or a husband in the ranks. You gotta wait. That's just my opinion. I've hardly ever seen a successful marriage between two soldiers. I've hardly ever seen a successful relationship in that sense. It always goes bad. And I've always seen problems with drinking. Anytime there's alcohol involved, people just have a horrible time. It affects PT, it affects unit cohesion and readiness, it affects physical fitness. I'd say ban it. They ban smoking for basic training. They ban smoking, around the company buildings and stuff. Just ban alcohol too. Shouldn't be too hard. I mean, if people want to drink, I mean, they can do it on their leave, or I just make that a part of the readiness. And I know a ton of people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. But I'd say, beyond gender issues or transgender this and that, I mean, that's hardly even a problem. I mean, compared to the problems that alcoholism and this fraternization brings, this is nothing. If you could get rid of those two things, there would be hardly any problems. I mean, the problems would be the same ones they've always had: bad leadership, people still drinking even though it's against the rules, and getting UCMJ stuff, and I mean, it would be a lot different in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Again, it's just conjecture. Don't take it, you know, like I know what I'm talking about. I was a private first class when I left, so I mean, it's just my ramblings and rants. Anyway, if you want to hear some more information about stuff like that, just leave me a like, subscribe. I'm going to be making a longer video later today about something I think is much more important than this to kind of help people. All right, well, thank you very much. Have a good day.